Welcome to Thursday BookTube. I think I have two great books for you. The first one is Vinegar, Pie, and Ginger and Chicken Bread. Vinegar, Pie, and Chicken Bread. It's a woman's diary of life in the rural South between 1890 and 1891, and edited and with an introduction by Margaret Jones Bolsterli. Now, this diary was written by a woman named Nanny Stillwell Jackson. The lady that edited this book knew about her from her mother, and she was doing research. I guess she must have been a history major or something. I'm not real sure. But she'd heard about this diary, and she was interested in it because her mother had told her stories about this woman. And so between the 11th of June, 1890, and the 15th of April, 1891, Nanny kept a diary with pencils in a small ledger, 20 by 13 centimeters in size. Miss Jackson's writing is neat and legible, but the pages at the beginning and end of the ledger have deteriorated so badly that familiarity with local names was frequently my salvation in deciphering meaning. There were no missing pages, and the diary is very ho-hum, just tedious in the fact that there's no real adventure. It's just mundane, everyday things. But it's still very interesting to know that you can go into someone's life for just a short time and see what they did all day. And because of the rural life there in Arkansas, it was in Watson, Arkansas, in DeShay County, the neighbors lived far apart, a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. And the one thing I remember about the book is that the ladies would maybe cook a pot of greens, collard greens, mustard greens, whatever kind of greens. And they would walk all that way to their neighbor's house and give the greens or the pie or whatever they had made, and would give it to the lady of the house. And it was for the lady of the house to eat. It was a special gift to the ladies. They didn't have a big social life or anything. And another thing I remember about the book was that Miss Jackson was a widow, and she married her second husband, and she didn't really care for him. She wasn't in love with him, but as a matter of being practical, she married again. And all the neighbors would participate in the activities of the community. They had a neighbor who passed away, and Miss Jackson was the one that made the cover for the face of the deceased. It was just a small cloth, and she sewed around the edges of it and made it nice, and they would put it over the person's face, and she was responsible for making that. So I've told you before, I love reading about people's lives, and so I found this book really fascinating. I love reading diaries and journals of people, because when they write them, they're writing them for themselves. They're not writing them for the world, but people like me sure enjoy them. So, and I'll link this, or put the name of it in the description. The next book is The Discovery of Jeanne Baret. Now, my youngest daughter bought this for me for my birthday 12 years ago. And she picked it out all by herself. She knew what kind of books I like to read. And I started reading it, and I'll tell you, it was so exciting. At least to me, it was exciting. I'll read a part of the description or introduction. The year was 1765. Eminent botanist Philibert Commerson had just been appointed to a grand new expedition, the first French circumnavigation of the world. As the ship's official naturalist, Commerson would seek out resources, medicines, spices, timber, food, that could give the French an edge in the ever-accelerating race for empire. Jeanne Baret, Commerson's young mistress and collaborator, was desperate not to be left behind. She disguised herself as a teenage boy and signed on as his assistant. The journey made the 26-year-old known to her shipmates as Jeanne, rather than Jeanne, the first woman to ever sail around the globe. Yet so little is known about this extraordinary woman, whose accomplishments were considered to be subversive, even impossible for someone of her sex and class. And here is a drawing as an example of what she would have looked like. She would bind herself around the chest area, to make herself look more manly. And they get to a place, I think it's in South America, and she went out ahead of Commerson and was looking around, and she discovered these beautiful flowers, and she did not get credit for that. And the flower was named after the captain of the ship. And the name of that flower was bougainvillea. And for those of you who live in California, you know how beautiful they are. And I've always thought they were beautiful. When I visited family in California, I just couldn't get over how beautiful they were. But years later, I learned what a real nuisance they can be when they shed all their leaves and everything. But they're certainly beautiful. So if you like adventure and you like stories about women, this might be the book for you. I know I enjoyed it. So that's my booktube for this Thursday. I hope you'll come back to my Thursday booktubes, and all you got to do is put in the hashtag Thursday booktube, and you'll find lots of other people who have read books and give book reports. And it's hosted by Patty at Life with Patty, and also Daphne at My Mountain Home and Kitchen, and I'll post that in the description. So y'all have a good day, a good afternoon, a good evening. And please remember, be kind to someone. Someone needs your kindness today. Bye.